Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today we're going back to Agatha Christie, specifically Death on the Nile.
A classic.
Right. And you guys sent in some really interesting sources for this one, some literary analyses, a bit of historical context. Should be pretty fun.
Definitely. And it's amazing how, this book was published in 1937, but people are still reading it today.
Yeah, for sure. It's like timeless.
Exactly. I mean, the setting itself, this luxurious cruise down the Nile, that really adds to the whole appeal, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, totally glamorous.
Right.
And then Christie throws in a murder.
Of course. Gotta have a good murder.
Exactly. And who better to solve it than Hercule Poirot himself?
Well, he is on vacation, but
But even Poirot can't resist a good mystery.
especially not when the victim is someone like Linnet Doyle.
Oh, yeah, Linnet. Rich, beautiful, just got married. Seems like she has it all.
Seems like it, right? But as we dig deeper, we realize things weren't so perfect after all.
Yeah, one of the articles you shared even described her as almost, I don't know, unlikable, like manipulative, maybe.
Yes. I mean, Christie never comes right out and says it, but she definitely hints at it. Like, the way Linnet uses her wealth, it's almost like a weapon.
Yeah, and it definitely doesn't help that she married her supposed best friend's ex-fiancé.
Ah, yes, the infamous love triangle. Simon Doyle, Jacqueline de Belfort, and Linnet right at the center.
A recipe for disaster, you could say.
Absolutely. Jacqueline's resentment is practically oozing off the pages. And, she even ends up on the same cruise as the happy couple.
Talk about awkward.
To say the least, it definitely creates this underlying tension throughout the whole story.
One of the sources even argued that Jacqueline represents something bigger than just a jealous ex.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Like they said, she kind of embodies the pressures and expectations on women back then.
Ah, I see. That's a really interesting take. It definitely adds another layer to her character, doesn't it?
For sure. And she's not the only one with secrets on this cruise. I mean, we've got the maid, Louise Bourget.
Right, who may or may not be harboring some resentment toward her employer.
Then there's Andrew Pennington, Lynette's American trustee. Something's definitely off with him.
Oh, and Salome Otterborn, the novelist,
Mm.
and her daughter, Rosalie.
Yeah, they add a whole other layer of intrigue to the mix.
One source suggested that Salome might be based on a real-life author Christie knew. Someone struggling with, well, some personal demons.
Whoa, really? So, even the fictional characters have roots in reality. That's pretty cool.
Definitely adds another layer to the whole thing, doesn't it?
Totally. Okay, so we've got Louise, Andrew, Salome, Rosalie.
Don't forget Tim Allerton and his rather overbearing mother.
Right. And then there's the wealthy American socialite, Marie Van Schuyler, plus her cousin, Cornelia Robson, and her nurse, Miss Bowers.
Ah, yes. And we can't forget Mr. Ferguson, the outspoken communist.
Oh, yeah. And the Italian archaeologist, what was his name? Guido Ricchetti. And Jim Fanthorpe, the solicitor. And Dr. Bessner, the ship's doctor. I mean, everyone's a suspect.
Exactly. And that's what makes this such a captivating mystery.
Right. Like they all have their secrets and reasons to maybe, I don't know, dislike Linnet. It's almost overwhelming.
It's like Christie is challenging us right alongside Poirot to figure out who did it.
A puzzle with a whole boatload of pieces.
And every piece is important. It really is a game, isn't it? Like Christie is saying, okay, can you solve this?
Totally. And I feel like she's always one step ahead.
Oh, absolutely. She's a master of misdirection, that's for sure. One of the sources actually drew a really interesting parallel.
Oh, what's that?
It was between Death on the Nile and the myth of Osiris.
Osiris.
Yeah.
Like the Egyptian god.
Exactly. You know how he was murdered by his own brother?
Vaguely. Refresh my memory.
So Osiris's brother, Set, he was super jealous, right?
Mm.
Kills Osiris, chops him up into pieces, scatters him all over Egypt.
Okay, wow. A bit morbid. But what does that have to do with Death on the Nile?
Well, the author was arguing that Linnet's murder, it's like a symbolic dismemberment, too.
Whoa, okay, I see what you mean. Like her wealth, her power, it all gets kind of torn apart.
Exactly. Each suspect, they represent a different piece of that puzzle.
Ooh, that's deep. I love that interpretation. But, I mean, aside from all the mythology, this is still a very real murder, right?
Oh, definitely. And the stakes just keep getting higher as Poirot digs deeper.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Andrew Pennington. Turns out he's involved in all sorts of shady financial stuff.
Right. Talk about secrets.
Mm.
And then there's Jacqueline. I mean, we know she has reason to want Linnet gone.
Did Poirot find any, hard evidence connecting her to the murder, though?
Well, remember those pearls that Linnet let Jacqueline borrow?
The ones she was so worried about getting stolen?
Those are the ones. Turns out they were fake.
Fake! So the real ones are missing.
Gone. And Poirot starts to think Simon might be involved.
Wait, Simon, her husband. But why would he steal her pearls?
That's the million-dollar question. Poirot starts noticing these little inconsistencies in his behavior,
It's not just a grieving husband, huh?
Not quite. Poirot even begins to suspect that Simon and Jacqueline might be working together.
No way. The grieving husband and the jealous ex teaming up. Okay, that's a plot twist.
And it almost works. It's Poirot's attention to detail, his, little gray cells that save the day.
I love how Christie does that. She throws you off the scent, makes you think it's one person, then bam, it's someone else entirely.
She's brilliant at that.
Oh.
And don't forget, they're all stuck on this boat together. It creates such a sense of, claustrophobia.
Oh, totally. It's like the tension just builds and builds.
Exactly. The cruise ship, it's like a microcosm of society,
Yeah.
All these desires, these secrets, they're just simmering under the surface.
It makes me wonder if something like that could really happen, like on a cruise today.
You never know. But let's not forget, even with all the murder and mystery, there's a bit of romance thrown in, too.
Oh, yeah. Poirot and his matchmaking.
Right. Amidst all the chaos, he manages to bring two people together.
It's like a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's still hope.
Exactly. Christie always seems to find a way to weave that in, a little bit of light in the darkness.
I guess that's part of what makes her story so enduring.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's more than just a whodunit. It's about human nature, about the choices we make.
Okay, so we've got a complex cast of characters, a brilliant detective, a setting that just oozes suspense, and even a touch of romance. But we still don't know who killed Linnet.
That's right. The big reveal is still to come.
Yeah, it's like even with all the bad stuff, the murder and all, there's still that glimmer of, humanity.
Exactly. But I think it's time. We've kept our listeners waiting long enough.
Okay, spill the tea. Who did it?
The mastermind behind Linnet Doyle's murder is her husband, Simon Doyle.
Wait, what? Simon. But he was so, heartbroken. It all seemed so real.
That's the point. It was all an act, a carefully crafted performance.
So those fake pearls, that was all part of his plan.
It's exactly a distraction to throw everyone off his scent.
So it wasn't just about love for Jacqueline then?
Well, love or obsession definitely played a part. But let's not forget the motive.
Greed.
The sources you shared paint a pretty clear picture of Simon's financial situation before he met Linnet. He was desperate.
And Linnet was his ticket to a life of luxury.
Precisely. And Jacqueline, well, she was driven by a desire for revenge, to see Linnet's world crumble.
So they used each other. Their shared hatred for Linnet brought them together.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? How easily they manipulated everyone around them.
Totally. But Poirot saw through it all.
Oh, of course. Those little gray cells of his never fail. He picked up on the inconsistencies, the little slips that betrayed their true intentions.
It's amazing how Christie makes you think it's one person, then suddenly everything shifts.
It's her signature, wouldn't you say? The unexpected twist.
Absolutely. But it's not just about the plot, right? It's about the characters, their motivations, their flaws.
Death on the Nile. It's a study of human nature at its best and worst.
Makes you wonder, what secrets are lurking beneath the surface of the people we know.
That's the brilliance of Christie. She taps into those fears, makes us question everything.
Wow. Well, we've reached the end of our Nile journey.
It's been quite a ride, hasn't it?
Definitely. So many twists and turns. I'm still processing it all.
But that's what makes it so memorable. Death on the Nile, it's a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
Absolutely. Big thanks to you for guiding us through this one. It's been fascinating.
My pleasure.
And to all of you listening, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time, keep those minds sharp.
And remember, the truth, even when it's hard to face, is always the best policy.